Claude Opus 5 just launched, right? And there's this massive fanfare.
Oh, yeah. Everyone is immediately rushing to start generic AI agencies.
Exactly. They desperately want to sell shiny new automations to people.
But the real money isn't in those shiny toys.
Mm.
It's actually in fixing boring, highly expensive business problems.
Welcome to the deep dive. We're really thrilled you're joining us today.
We definitely are.
Today, we're unpacking a step-by-step technical guide from our sources. It outlines exactly how to monetize Claude Opus 5.
We're mapping out a highly practical implementation strategy here. We are definitely moving past the initial launch hype today.
Right. We're looking closely at identifying actual operational bottlenecks.
Then we explore how to build a remarkably reliable workflow.
And finally, we discuss how to rigorously prove your quantitative results.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Many companies already pay a premium for Claude subscriptions. They have the active licenses sitting there right now.
But they have absolutely no idea how to actually deploy them. Having Claude, but not using it correctly. It's like having a Ferrari, but only using it to listen to the radio.
That is a phenomenal way to frame the core problem. They have this immense reasoning power readily available.
Right.
But without handing the AI the company handbook, they just guess. They lack the structural context to actually be useful.
And this creates a massive financial opportunity for you. You don't need to master a million different AI products.
No.
You only need to significantly improve one highly measurable process. The source lays out a very clear initial diagnostic step.
You start by tracking your own manual tasks meticulously.
Yeah, you log everything you do for a full week.
Exactly. You're actively looking for the most repetitive daily friction points.
You look for the specific tasks that constantly cause mistakes.
You isolate the workflows that continually slow your team down.
It could be a weekly internal report that just takes forever, or a data entry process that constantly needs careful human fixing.
Right. You gather that comprehensive list of annoying manual tasks, and you paste it directly into the Claude Opus 5 interface.
You actually ask Claude to evaluate your tasks.
What's fascinating here is how wonderfully meta this process actually is. You are literally using the AI to diagnose where to use the AI.
You ask it to rank things based on 5 strict criteria. First, you measure exactly how much time the task takes.
Second, you calculate how often it actually happens during the week.
Third is analyzing how likely the task is to cause mistakes.
Fourth is the overall impact on operational costs or productivity.
And fifth, you evaluate how well Claude can actually handle it.
In the source example, Claude ultimately picks something called Task 7.
Right, Task 7. Answering reported customer questions using various internal company documents.
This specific task happens all day long in most organizations. It continuously eats up massive amounts of highly valuable time.
And if an agent gets the answer wrong, you instantly destroy customer trust.
It is the absolute perfect candidate for this type of workflow automation.
But before you start building anything, the guide issues a crucial security warning. You absolutely have to check your company's data security rules.
Yeah, you must strip out all customer data before uploading anything. You have to meticulously remove personally identifiable information.
You should only ever upload strictly approved, public-facing, or sanitized documents.
This specific security step is completely non-negotiable for enterprise deployment.
You also need to firmly establish a clear baseline metric first. You might meticulously measure the team's average response time beforehand.
Or you track precisely how often their answers are completely correct. You fundamentally need a hard numerical target to beat.
Otherwise, you can't mathematically prove your system's value later on. I have to admit something a bit vulnerable here.
Oh.
I still wrestle with prompt drift myself when I try to automate my own inbox.
That is a notoriously difficult problem for anyone building these systems.
For those wondering, prompt drift is when the AI slowly forgets its original instructions over time.
Right.
To sex silence. So I completely understand why setting a firm baseline is so important. You need to know if the automated system is actually degrading.
Exactly. You need hard statistical evidence, not just a fleeting gut feeling. The baseline anchors your future success to undeniable reality.
Why start with something as mundane as a customer FAQ instead of a massive company-wide overhaul?
Because massive overhauls are incredibly risky and often fail spectacularly. Small, measurable wins build the vital executive trust necessary for much larger projects.
Start small to build trust before pitching massive overhauls.
Precisely. You build political capital through undeniable small-scale competence.
So identifying the operational bottleneck is merely the initial diagnosis.
Right.
The actual treatment is where most eager developers completely fail. They treat Claude like a simple search engine instead of a reasoning engine.
That's a huge mistake.
How do we actually build rigid guardrails that prevent it from just confidently guessing?
Well, context is the absolute foundation of everything here. You can't just ask Claude to answer customer questions blindly.
You must carefully feed it your strictly approved internal documents first. The technical guide lists these required document types quite clearly.
You upload comprehensive product guides and detailed FAQ files.
You include strict refund policies and nuanced support ticket examples.
You also provide a very specific checklist for human handoffs. The AI system desperately needs to know when to gracefully step back.
The underlying prompt structure here is absolutely critical for success. You explicitly command Claude to identify the main customer question first.
Then, it carefully cross-references the provided internal documents.
Only then does it write a clear, highly accurate customer response.
But crucially, you must explicitly program it to admit when information is entirely missing.
But what if the AI just hallucinates a brand new refund policy? When the AI confidently makes up brand new fake information, we see that kind of confident nonsense all the time.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that is exactly why the prompt is so strict. Hallucinations happen when the model predicts words from its vast general training data. By writing, "Don't guess or add information that isn't explicitly supported," you forcefully narrow its focus. You are mathematically restricting its token generation pool.
Tokens being the basic building blocks of words the AI uses.
Exactly. You restrict those strictly to the provided documents. These rigid architectural guardrails are what turn AI from a toy into an enterprise tool.
Beat. That actually makes perfect sense mechanically. You're purposefully removing the model's creative freedom entirely.
Yes.
It's simply reading, synthesizing, and summarizing the officially approved files.
Exactly. And then comes the rigorous testing phase of the build. You absolutely do not just launch this workflow blindly into production.
You run real historical customer questions through the newly built workflow. You deliberately take tricky questions your human team has already answered in the past.
You rigorously check Claude's new automated answers against the approved baseline documents. You are actively hunting for spectacular systemic failures here.
You look carefully for unsupported claims or entirely fabricated company policies.
You also flag any wording that sounds way too confident for the available data.
Two sec silence. So you're actually trying to break the system on purpose.
Well, absolutely. You stress test the architecture until it shatters. And when you inevitably find a problem, you rapidly iterate.
You carefully tweak the underlying instructions within the main prompt.
You update your source files to clarify any confusing internal language.
Right. And you might aggressively tighten the human handoff rules.
Exactly. Then you run that exact same problematic question through the system again. You keep doing this until the generated answers become perfectly consistent.
Once it reliably works, you save everything securely in a shared team folder.
You document the refined prompt, the source files, and the handoff checklist.
Your entire team now possesses a highly reusable, incredibly robust workflow.
They can execute complex tasks quickly without ever guessing the protocol. It transitions from a personal experiment into a standardized company asset.
How many times do you actually need to test this before trusting it?
You test until the AI handles edge cases consistently without breaking the guardrails you put in place.
Keep testing until edge cases stop breaking your established guardrails.
That is the ultimate benchmark for deployment readiness.
We're going to take a quick break here. Sponsor break. And we're back. So we've secured our clean data and built a highly reliable workflow. But a working workflow is essentially useless in a corporate vacuum. It means nothing if you cannot clearly communicate its true value.
You eventually have to talk to the skeptical people holding the department budget. This is exactly where most highly technical people fail completely.
They build something incredibly cool in an isolated silo, but they completely fail to articulate the actual underlying business value.
You have to continuously compare the new workflow against those old baseline metrics. Use the exact performance numbers you set back in step one.
You closely analyze the average response time before and after the implementation.
You track the overall accuracy percentages before and after the AI integration.
You diligently count how many questions still required manual human intervention. Here's where it gets really interesting for me. The guide suggests using Claude to generate the final business summary. You are literally using the AI to write the persuasive pitch for the AI.
It is an incredibly efficient use of the tool's summarization capabilities.
Yeah.
You simply feed it the painful old process and the streamlined new process.
Then you provide the hard performance numbers and let it synthesize the narrative.
The source material suggests asking Claude for 3 very specific deliverables.
A remarkably short, punchy update suitable for a busy manager.
A highly structured 2-minute demo outline for a live presentation.
And a simple, easily digestible, one-page case study.
The live demonstration is absolutely vital for executive buy-in. You vividly show the deeply painful, manual old process first.
Then you smoothly show how Claude handles the exact same task in seconds. You visually highlight the most dramatically improved performance metric on the screen.
You make the financial value instantly obvious to anyone watching the presentation. Whoa, beat. Imagine scaling that tiny time save across 1 billion daily queries.
Yeah.
The compounding financial value for a large enterprise is truly staggering.
It really is a massive paradigm shift for operational efficiency. But the source explicitly notes that absolute honesty is vital during this pitch.
You must state the pilot's inherent limitations incredibly clearly to the stakeholders.
You have to openly admit that the pilot only used 15 historical questions.
Yeah, you have to clearly state it was merely a single, carefully controlled run.
You must openly admit that the output still strictly requires human review. You absolutely do not pretend you have built a magical, flawless operational system.
That deliberate transparency is what makes the case study actually believable. Executives have been repeatedly burned by wildly exaggerated software pitches before.
Why highlight the pilot's limitations like only running 15 questions when you're trying to sell a success?
Transparency builds deep credibility. Pretending an AI system is flawless immediately sets off blaring alarm bells for experienced decision makers.
Total honesty about limitations actually builds your credibility with executives.
It fundamentally proves you are a measured professional, not a reckless snake oil salesman.
So, we now have a proven, heavily documented, transparent case study. We possess hard operational metrics proving a massive reduction in wasted time.
We have a highly robust, fully functional workflow sitting right on our desktop.
We have absolutely everything we need meticulously documented on paper.
The conceptual heavy lifting is entirely finished at this point.
Now, how do you actually translate that static document into real income? How do you leverage this specific workflow into tangible career advancement?
Well, the single biggest mistake is letting that beautiful case study sit quietly in a folder. You have to actively weaponize it to aggressively create your next big opportunity.
Let's discuss the strategy for independent freelancers first. The source guide says this is where monetization becomes highly practical.
You leverage this documented case study to pitch a paid operational audit to a new prospect.
You absolutely do not try to sell them a fully automated, expensive system immediately.
That is a remarkably crucial psychological point for sales. You simply ask to review their current manual processes and their messy internal documents.
Then you politely recommend a very small, tightly controlled pilot program.
You only proceed if their specific use case is actually suitable for language models. You carefully connect your pre-built demonstration workflow to their highly specific organizational mess.
And after you successfully build that initial pilot, then you pitch a monthly retainer.
Exactly. You charge them a recurring fee for regular workflow reviews and prompt updates, because internal company documents change constantly as businesses naturally evolve.
Return policies update.
The underlying AI prompt will absolutely need regular maintenance over time to prevent degradation.
Now, what if you are currently a full-time employee, or perhaps you are an active job seeker navigating the current market?
The tactical strategy shifts significantly, but the core underlying asset remains exactly the same.
Inside a traditional corporate structure, you use these measured results strategically. You use the undeniable metrics to confidently ask for a substantial promotion.
You now possess hard mathematical proof of your unique organizational value.
You could even proactively propose a newly created AI implementation role for yourself. You clearly prove that you can continually drive highly measurable business results.
And if you are currently interviewing, you bring this printed case study directly to the table. It acts as a massive differentiator in a sea of highly generic resumes.
Everyone else just confidently claims they casually know how to use Claude Opus 5.
Right.
You can actually demonstrate exactly how you systematically found a real operational problem.
You vividly show how you engineered the workflow and structured the strict guardrails. You explain how you tested it rigorously and measured the final results carefully.
The source guide gives one final, highly actionable step for dealing with a new prospect. You simply ask them to casually share a small sample of repeated support questions.
You just ask for the common questions and the raw documents their team currently uses to answer them.
It is a wonderfully low-friction ask that immediately starts the diagnostic process.
It really is.
So what does this all mean? It means practical AI expertise isn't really about writing highly complex code.
No.
It is fundamentally about intelligent change management and consistently proving a measurable return on investment.
This raises an important question about the broader future of work. How are traditional, rigid job descriptions going to change as ambitious employees start aggressively automating their own busy work?
It represents a massive fundamental shift in corporate psychology. You're rapidly moving from executing the manual task to managing the intelligent system that executes the task.
Professional roles across every industry will evolve incredibly rapidly in the next few years. The proactive individuals who can engineer these reliable workflows will become incredibly valuable assets.
Why pitch an audit first instead of just building the system for them immediately?
Every company's operational mess is completely unique. An audit ensures the AI can actually solve their specific bottleneck before you commit to building.
An audit ensures you can actually fix their specific mess.
Exactly. It fundamentally protects your reputation, and it simultaneously protects the client's budget.
We have covered a tremendous amount of highly technical ground today. Let's do a quick, thoughtful recap of the major conceptual ideas here.
The absolute core theme of this entire guide is relentless pragmatism. The most practical way to generate real revenue with AI isn't by selling shiny new technological toys.
It is systematically achieved by saving valuable time for exhausted workers.
It is achieved by drastically reducing highly costly human mistakes.
It's about making the actual daily grind significantly easier for a stressed team.
The genuine economic value is always found in the specific localized application. It is almost never about possessing the raw underlying algorithm itself.
It is about meticulously finding that one deeply boring, highly manual task.
It's about actively building those rigid architectural guardrails so the language model doesn't confidently hallucinate.
It is about tracking the performance metrics with brutal, uncompromising honesty.
And it is ultimately about aggressively using that mathematical proof to rapidly open new professional doors for yourself.
We deeply want you to try something very specific tomorrow morning. Think carefully about the absolute most repetitive, highly annoying task you did today.
Think about the specific mundane chore that made you sigh heavily when it hit your desk.
Could you methodically feed your exact manual steps for that task into Claude tomorrow? Could you ask it to intelligently write a strategic case study on how to completely replace that exact task?
It is a wonderfully low-risk, highly educational experiment to run. It takes maybe 20 minutes of deep focus to set up properly.
But the eventual results could completely revolutionize your entire daily workflow.
The incredibly powerful tools are sitting right there at your fingertips. The metaphorical genius is waiting patiently in the room for your instructions.
You just have to finally decide to hand them the company handbook.
Start incredibly small, test the outputs rigorously, prove the overarching value undeniably.
We will leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought to mull over tonight. If you don't proactively audit your own daily workflows and build these automated solutions, how long until someone else eagerly does it for you?
A very sobering, deeply necessary question for all of us to consider.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We will see you next time.